Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube's fan debate, mass debate of the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 1, Stranger in Strange Lands. I'm with my usual cohorts, Cousin Cheeto. How you doing, mate?
I can't wait to hate on this because everybody knows I hate Boba Fett more than life itself.
There you go. I love you using my quotes. It makes me so proud. And by the way, welcome Daniel Vance as well. And of course, my fellow countryman, Bossman, also known as Gary Raider. How you doing?
I did all right.
Fantastic.
Glad
So,
to see more of Star Wars.
yes, by the way, before we continue talking, I am desperate for Star Wars, desperate for it because not since the Bad Batch, and even that wasn't major because I felt it became kind of how do I say it was a bit diluted. It was just a bit one note. It didn't feel like it progressed anything. I was desperate for Star Wars since The Mandalorian, and we've had a whole year of a smorgasbord of Marvel. Like Marvel fucking galore, swimming in it. Drowning in fucking Marvel. And I'm not complaining too much, but my goodness, it's good to get some fucking Star Wars back. I am so happy to have Star Wars back with us. So the Book of Boba Fett is here, and I'm going to be showing you some stills initially from this particular episode. But before we continue talking about all the bits and bobs of this episode, I'll start off with you, Gary. What did you think of the Book of Boba Fett episode 1, just generally?
It was really good. I really liked it. It was good to see that, I mean, are we going spoilers or are we going non-spoilers?
Yeah, we're going full
All
on spoilers, my
spoilers.
son.
Okay, so it was good to see that this was after Jedi, where there was like a power vacuum left when Jabba got killed at the end of at the start of Jedi. So I like the fact that Boba Fett was the one who thought he could fit into that role. So what I want to know is how he got on the Sarlacc pit, but we actually got to see that how he got out, what happened to him immediately after that sort of thing, and I was good to that we got to see his that he's a different sort of person. I mean, like again, we got to see character development from him. So
Yeah,
it was good. I mean, and I like the actor. Is it Tamara Morrison?
Tamara
Um,
Morrison. Yeah,
yeah. Because the thing is that I've always liked him. Because I mean, I don't want to be these hipster. I was always a fan of his, but I remember a film he was in. I think it was a New Zealand film called
once
When We Were,
once
Once
were
We Were
warriors.
Warriors. Yeah.
Fucking
He's
fantastic movie.
he's fucking awesome in it. If you've
Nick
ever seen that
Vermust.
film, pardon?
Nick Vermust. That was his name. He was like a legendary fucking brawler. Sort of like
Street
antisocial,
Fighter.
legendary. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, he was like very just known for just being very antisocial, but people couldn't fuck with him because if you try to fuck with him, he'll beat the fuck out of you. But yeah, Nick the Must
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
name of the
He's a
character.
lot like
Fantastic
Lenny.
movie.
He's a lot like Lenny. What's his name? The guy from Britain. What's his name? Lenny McTeer, or whatever his name was. The
I
guy.
know the guy from he was in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah. So it's a
Yeah,
lot like that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, by the way, back to this. I thought it was good. It was good that they took the helmet off and they found reasons to keep him outside the armor. So he could actually give a performance. But while he was in the armor, he gave a really good performance. So it's good that we got to see both aspects of that because I think whenever you're wearing something that covers your face, it kind of like it kind of negates like 1/3 of what you use to act with, which is your expressions. Whereas
Mhm.
he buys it with and without, which is a very good thing, and he's he got to express that. So overall, really good first episode, and I can't wait to see where they go with this because I am intrigued where they're going with this.
All right, Bobby Black.
I thought this episode was pretty good. A bit flashback heavy, but I mean that's fine. They needed to kind of clear up all of that, the Sarlacc pit and everything like that. So I figured that was coming anyway. But no, I thought it was pretty good. My big issue with Boba Fett, I've said this many times before, is that I don't understand why fans have loved him so much from the original trilogy. But if this show makes Boba Fett cool, then I'm all for it. And on top of that, I'm all for something that does not involve Jedi's. Like like they were saying that this was going to be like the Goodfellas like of Star Wars. So I'm all for that. So honestly, I liked it. I liked the part where he was going around introducing himself to, people and stuff like that. So I know we'll get into that more in the bits and bobs, as you call it. But yeah, I mean, Daniel Vance says, I wonder if Boba is addicted to Bacta like Vader. I don't know. Was Vader addicted to Bacta? Like, I just thought he needed it to survive.
Yeah, like it was a way of healing and not being in pain.
I do. That is actually, that brings up my one complaint about is that, they do kind of make Boba seem very weak when it, because he's like at the end of it when he's struggling to get back to the Bacta tank, and yada yada. I thought that was a bit, it was a bit forced to get him to have another flashback, to finish off the episode with a flashback. So I really didn't like that. But for all in all, I overall, I thought it was actually a pretty good first episode. As I said, they answered the question about how he survived the Sarlacc, and what happened after the end of the Mandalorian, the last episode of the Mandalorian, post-credit scene. So yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I hate Boba Fett with all of my being, and I can't believe they made a show off of him. There we go. You guys happy?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic, mate. So we're gonna go through some pictures here because personally, I only need to give you my opinions of it. I thought this episode was okay. It's really funny because I never really find pilot episodes of most shows I watch to be too fantastic. I did like Mandalorian season 1, episode 1. I thought that was a very good first episode to a degree. It kind of strayed, Mandalorian itself kind of strayed away to what I was expecting it to be. I thought it would be about bounty hunting, and it ended up being some sort of father-son relationship and mentoring and stuff like that. But nevertheless, this was an interesting episode. There's not like, even though Boba Fett is he's not a new character, he's still a very unknown character, but we know more about him than we do know about the Mandalorian. We know nothing about the Mandalorian when we first saw him, so there were certain things I was expecting from this episode, and we kind of got it. I mean, him coming at the Sarlacc pit, very, very important for me. That gets nipped in the bud straight away, and this is kind of reminiscence to fan fiction. Go on.
No, I don't understand what you're talking about. We got that excellent fan film that we reviewed about how Boba Fett got out of that. That was canon to me. That was canon.
Yeah, well, nevertheless, that was a fan film. This is from Disney, so this is more canon than anything. So what I didn't understand whilst he was in the fucking Sarlacc pit is that there were bloody stormtroopers. Now, when Luke was fighting Jabba, it was the good guys versus this fucking cartel, nothing to do with the fucking Empire. Where did these fucking stormtroopers come from? How did they end up in there?
Well, I assume that they pissed off Jabba the Hutt, and that's where he said.
I mean, I didn't think about that, Zam. That is a very good point. That is a very good plot hole. Because let's put it this way: it had to have been recent because I mean, it's not like they had a chance to break down like his stomach. The Sarlacc stomach didn't have a chance to break down the contents, so it had to have been recent.
But that's where you're wrong, because they did say that the Sarlacc does process the things over thousands of years to digest.
Yeah, but how did the fucking stormtroopers end up? I mean, look, I'm not surprised stormtroopers are in there, but if you're trying to connect this to Return of the Jedi, wouldn't it have been better to see some of the people who ended up in there from that fight from Return of the Jedi? It's a bit more recent. I mean, this particular stormtrooper has looked like he's been digested a tad because his outfit is melting, but nevertheless, I love that Boba helped make the young Tusken Raider kid a legend among his clan. Yes, he did. The pit is where Jabba threw out all his trash. Yes, he did. And things like take 1,000 years to do. Yeah. By the way,
that's what I just said.
Regarding the digestion of creatures, because people don't tend to live for 1,000 years, but how it works is that the chemicals within the Sarlacc pit keeps you alive, and you are being digested whilst alive, and you're in thorough agony and pain for 1,000 fucking years. It's a horrible way to go, man. because you want to die a lot sooner than how you're supposed to die. Nevertheless,
I never knew. Just so you know, I never knew that. So I mean, okay, cool,
it's
cool
quite
story,
bad.
bro.
Well, look, he does get out eventually. Sorry, boss man, you want to say something?
I was going to say, like, it was just good to see that, like, see him coming out the ground. It was almost like something out of, like, horror film, like, because you think about it, I mean, that's a horrible way to go. You're being digested by whatever this thing is, the Sarlacc.
Yeah, you're damn right, mate. You're damn right. It's one of the worst ways you can imagine. And but it's a prolonged death of a millennia. Nevertheless, he does escape. I wasn't too impressed with the escape. I felt it was very all right. He's got out. I mean, I wanted a little bit more to it. It seemed like okay, he punches through the body a little bit, and then he gets the flamethrower out, and next thing you know, he's out.
I feel like I mean there were a lot of guys that were thrown in there that probably had blasters on them and stuff. So I don't understand why that wasn't somebody's first inkling. Is like if they did fall in there alive, like why weren't they blasting? Like I feel like the Sarlacc pit should have been more of a impenetrable stomach or an iron stomach, and then
I agree.
and then but the thing is like maybe because he has Beskar on him, that's what is able to puncture through the stomach because it's Beskar. It's not just a blaster or a knife or a regular knife or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it just for him to just punch out and then flamethrow it, and then I'm assuming the Sarlacc died at that point. I think.
I'm not sure about it being dead. I mean, I think it takes more than that to kill it. But he definitely escaped. But remember, the Sarlacc is something that can be eaten by a sand dragon. So it takes a lot to kill it. We did see some interesting clips now. Whilst we were getting all this flashback stuff, we saw clips of Attack of the Clones and this clip here. But I'm not sure if you realize that they added actually a couple of frames of extra footage on this part here, because when he looks at the helmet, we see a reflection of himself from the black visor of the helmet, and that's additional footage. So they just added that 1 or 2 seconds more. They got like a young Daniel Lopez lookalike to play.
Yeah, it was kind of over his shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. So that was pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, all my pictures are not in order, even though I was trying to do that. What's that one? That's back there again, isn't it? So no, my bad. No. Remember this little droid? This droid is not a protocol droid, but this droid is the same sort of droid that was torturing the droids at the beginning of New Hope when they were burning the feet. Remember that? No.
Well, that had the little flame thing. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I'm glad that they kind of distinguish between protocol droids and just other droids.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, why is this giving me such a hard time? All right. Now, we get also him in the Bacta tank, which was nice. And it was a good way of going through the memory, because this started to remind me of Arrow. Did it remind you of Arrow at all, Cousin Cheetah?
No, not really. But
you know where I'm going with Arrow.
I do. I know where you're going with it, but that wasn't my thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with it. With the thing, yeah, I agree with that. I like the fact that he's seeing visions and stuff like that, and it was a good premise for him to show us the audience of what happened and stuff like that. Me personally, and again, this is a personal thing, I'd rather that, let's say, for example, he comes across something and it brings back that memory rather than having to have this basically fever dream sort of thing. I mean, I understand why they're doing it, just to convey to us the audience, but I just felt a little bit cheap.
Yeah, but it was a good way of transitioning. I mean, I'm not really the best when it comes to thinking about how to do the transition scenes, but I thought it was not too bad. It could have been worse. Now, after he gets out the Bacta tank, we have a scene that kind of reminds me of Iron Man 1, where he gets suited up. Fennec's there going, "Hey, boss," time for people to kiss your ass. And when he gets out, he gets suited up, and we see him have all these bits of armor. By the way, prior to him waking up from the back attack, I do want to remind people that once he survived, obviously he was covered in the stomach acids of the Sarlacc, so that's why he was very scarred up in the flashbacks. And the Jawas stole his outfit, which was exactly what happened in the Mandalorian, because Cobb Vanth bought it off Jawas. He was then taken as a slave by Tusken Raiders, and you can tell this was a different clan because they were wearing black. Usually, Tusken Raiders, they look like Jedi. It look like they're wearing Jedi robes.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that all of this, like all of the flashbacks, are taking place at the same time as Mandalorian season 1, or like just before it.
No, the flashbacks are taking place just after Return of the Jedi.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. So
so I think the flashbacks in general are going to be like 5 years worth of flashbacks, because it's going to be from the moment he escapes right up to the moment he sees Mandalorian riding off with his armor at the end of episode 1, season 2 of Mandalorian, which is one of the best episodes of Star Wars ever, in my opinion. But yeah, so he's all ready now, and we start meeting some of the characters. So regardless of the lady here on the right, this is the only picture of this Twi'lek dude I can get in the middle. Now you can tell he's a bit of a fucking sure himself fucking right hand man, because Jabba now taking over from Bib Fortuna.
I was hoping they drop him in not the Sarlacc pit, the Rancor pit.
Well, then they would have definitely copied 300, wouldn't they? Because you're never supposed to kill a messenger, but in this case they did. I wouldn't have minded if they killed him off. I mean, he was very sure of himself that he wouldn't die, and he was taking the piss. He was taking the right piss.
Yeah, it did remind me of that scene in 300 where the guy basically was like insulted, like, I mean, seriously, he's a bit of an idiot, like literally insulted the King of Sparta right to his face, while like being like having his back to a massive well. It's like he deserved to be kicked down it. And I'm surprised that, like,
he was guaranteeing on the messenger rules that you never kill the messenger, don't shoot the messenger, so to speak. But this moment here where Fennec tells Boba, should we kill him? He's been so disrespectful. But no, that never happens. And you can tell that maybe the antagonist for this season, definitely with the current day episodes, is going to be probably the mayor, because they were talking about this mayor. So it seems that this mayor everyone's bending the knee, so to speak, to Boba Fett, but except for this mayor who wants Boba Fett to bend the knee to him.
Well, and I wonder if the mayor's trying to take advantage of the fact of the change of the guard, and and basically trying to call not Mandalorian, Boba Fett's bluff, and basically is like, hey, I'm sick of living under the Hutt's rule. I'm going to kind of do my own thing now, and you do your own thing. We'll work as equals instead of like, and I think Boba Fett's going to just have to teach him or her a lesson.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, there was a little bit of disputes between Fennec and Boba during the course of this whole episode. Do you think it'll end up driving a wedge between them, because they had different ways of wanting to rule? Boba wants to go down the respect route, and I kind of understand that during the course of this episode why he might have wanted to go down the respect route after his time with the Tusken Raiders. But Fennec is very much down the let's go gangster on these motherfuckers and scare the shit out of them, and I think that might draw a wedge between them. What do you think? Do you think Fennec might betray Boba?
I think it's going to be more like circumstance drives it more into the way she's thinking. So, like, he starts off wanting to be, disrespectful, sort of like, peaceful hero, but the way that things come about, he gets drawn more and more into maybe like a war of escalation. I'm trying to think, there is a film that does that, where a guy starts off with noble goals, I think it's like Carlito's Way, maybe, where he wants to reform, he wants to be straight and narrow, but the people he has around him, drag him
Yeah,
into being more criminally things and
but
circumstances
Father
and stuff
Free's a
like that.
bit like that as well.
Yeah.
Just when you
So
thought that I was out, they drew me back in.
yeah, so I think that this is what this is going to be like. He wants to be a different sort of person to Jabba, but I think circumstance is going to drive it around that people can't change, even though he wants to.
There was a movie I think with Sean Penn where he plays this guy who becomes a politician because he wants to help people. But once he becomes a politician, he ends up becoming corrupted, and all the things that he wanted to do, like the life of a politician changes him, and he ends up not necessarily doing what he intends to do, and that could sometimes be the case. Also, like regarding Boba Fett, like he might say that he wants to rule out of respect, but it's what he does, because he might say that and think that, but he might end up doing the total opposite. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Nevertheless, they go to a different part of town. Do you remember the name of the Moss area it was called?
I was actually going to ask you guys. I don't remember. It was Moss.
Isley?
I thought it started with a
No,
it
not
wasn't.
Isley.
No, it wasn't Isley. That's for sure. It was a much bigger city.
Moss. Oh.
Oop, my bad, wrong picture. So they go for a little walk, and oh, by the way, he gets a couple of Gamorrean guards as well. It makes me wonder It makes me wonder, like, is this it? This is the criminal syndicate: Boba Fett,
Yeah.
Fennec Shan, and 2 fucking green pigs. That's it.
As I said, he's just stepped into the power vacuum left by Jabba's death. So the thing is that
technically,
Bib Fortuna was been running
Bib Fortuna was the one who did that.
no, but
And he
he's
came
trying
in
to
and
do
killed
that.
him at the end of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
he's trying to do that now.
Yeah, I just feel like where was like everyone else? Like these Gamorrean guards, like they were captured. Who captured them? Fennec. Why didn't she just kill them? Like, there's a couple of things that's bugging me a little bit, but nevertheless, they got a couple of Gamorreans. I knew they would be loyal to Boba. No doubt about that. But they go to meet the mayor, and where is this picture I have? They end up meeting some Twi'leks. Is this the one? Nope. Nope. I've got so many pictures here.
Trying to find the name of this stupid city.
Oh, here we go. Here's one of them.
Mos Espa.
Mos Espa, yeah. And they go to this town, and whilst they're going there, like Boba mentioned that they are supposed to be carried on their shoulders and stuff like that. But Boba doesn't want any of that sort of shit. He just wants to walk on his own 2 feet, which is why people were kind of wondering what the hell's wrong with this. Imagine having to carry Jabba the Hutt.
That was my first comment. Can you imagine?
Bib Fortuna as well. He put on a few pounds as well. Imagine having to carry his.
Well, but they also said he barely ever came out. I mean, when he first became Hutt, he wasn't as big, but still, it's a big slug.
Yeah. So they go to this part of town. This Twi'lek looks like she owns this bar. This bar looks far nicer than the other bars in Tatooine. But we get to see this guy again. Yay! His name is Max something or other, and he's
and then the pillowcase dude.
Yeah, he was the guy who was actually he was the guy who was playing on Jabba's flying fortress in Return of the Jedi. And we've got this Biff here, who's part of that, Mos Eisley Cantina from New Hope. So
well,
it's good to see them
collaborating. I love the elephant-looking guy because he looks like he's in one of those like inflatable costumes.
Yeah,
like it's just so.
He's the guy. He's the guy from Return of the Jedi. So he survived the crashing of that barrage, and obviously he's collaborating with this Biff from the Cantina band, and they're at this particular venue. So it's good, and he's actually the same guy, by the way. It is the same guy from Return of the Jedi, so that's pretty cool.
Well, gotta find work.
Now, Jabba takes off his helmet. Sorry, Jabba. Boba takes off his helmet here, and they return his helmet and it's full of coins, full of Imperial credits, which is nice. And then I think this is where Boba loses his helmet because he they go outside and then they get confronted by these fucking dudes. And I was just wondering who these guys might be. And the rumors is that they're Crimson Dawn. You heard of Crimson Dawn?
Yeah, I've heard of them, yeah.
Now the shields they're using are red, which is why people say they might be Crimson Dawn. And on top of that, they're wearing red outfits. I don't think that has anything
to do with it. I mean,
they're wearing red outfits as well. And somebody also mentioned that that Darth Maul was part of the Crimson Dawn.
He was the leader of the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, he was the leader of the Crimson Dawn. And then they played two bits of music. One from Solo, where he was, where you heard some particular sounds, some music and stuff like that when you saw Darth Maul introduced, and then also a bit of this scene as well. And the music sounds very similar, so people are assuming that's the Crimson Dawn sound. Hence, that's why people are thinking that this could be Crimson Dawn as well. It's very nicely dissected, if I may add. So yeah, they're having their fights and stuff. They're using some sort of cattle prod. You can tell they don't necessarily want to kill Jabba, but Boba. I keep calling him Jabba.
I think it's in there. I think it's in there now. Yeah, so Boba, yes.
But yeah, they definitely want him to take him down, possibly torture him again, and all of that sort of shit. But eventually, I mean, this fight scene wasn't that great, in my opinion. The aftermath of the fight scene, yeah, go on.
I think it's because he was, what's the word? Because he's. I mean, we've got to see that he's been through hell, because literally he's gone through getting out of the Sarlacc pit, to be taken hostage by the Tusken Raiders, to now being confronted by 6 guys wielding what looks to be like blast shields or some sort of shield. I don't even know what those are. Actually.
Well, but these events are not you're talking about the flashback when he got out of the Sarlacc pit and everything like that. This confrontation happened years later after the Mandalorian. Like after the Mandalorian season 2 was over.
I agree. Yeah. So nevertheless, he got immobilized big time. But Fennec is a very handy woman, and then we had a nice bit of Assassin's Creed parkour on top of the rooftops of Tatooine. And I like the way Fennec dealt with them, because she caught up with them, had them both, killed one of them because she only needs one guy. And that guy that got taken in, and then we see Boba taken by his Gamorrean mates back to the tank, and he's throwing him with his clothes on and shit, and hopefully he'll get healed. It's like a video game, isn't it? Like you go to the water fountain and it heals you.
Well, but that's where some of my issue is, though, is like the whole the I mean they're not portraying him as much of a strong figure if they have to throw him in the back to tank every time he gets his butt kicked.
But that's what the back to tank's for, though, is for healing.
Yeah, but he didn't. But in the Mandalorian, he didn't need the back to tank at all.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the fact that it's because he's been electrocuted, that's why it's just a one-off, and it's a way of just getting him get to these flashback scenes.
But in his defense, I think they're trying to make him more vulnerable, because the thing is that because as I said, I'm going to give a reason though, because again they want him to be because they want to portray him that he's coming off as weak to the people he's. So I think it's symbolic. It's not just physically, but also emotionally. So I think that's what's being betrayed personally.
Well, if that's what they're going for, then I'm not on board. I mean, if they need, they want to make Boba Fett like this a strong character, they need to make him a strong character. I don't care that he sleeps in a back to tank. That's fine. But like he runs to the back to tank every time something happens. Like as I said, he didn't need it in the Mandalorian. Now maybe it was on Slave One or whatever it's called now. Maybe it was on his ship and we just never saw it. But at the same time, it's just like it kind of seems like just an excuse, an ass pull to make him vulnerable And it's just like, well, if you're trying to
I
make
just,
this guy,
I
go
just
ahead.
thought it was just a way of getting to the flashback scene. You
And that's
know,
that's what I said in the beginning, is that I felt like it was just forced to get him back into the flashbacks.
yeah, exactly. So we're back in the flashback scenes now, and we're flashbacking it the whole way. During the flashback scenes, we see this Guido type alien as well, who, when Boba escaped the first time around, he was willing to help this Guido alien. I'm going to call him Orange though, because Guido was green, this guy's orange. But nevertheless, he tried to get Orange though to help him, and Orange though ratted him out like a fucking bitch. I mean, for fuck's sake, mate, you're both tied up by these Tusken Raiders. Yeah, instead of escaping, you rat him out. Ridiculous. And obviously, Boba gets beaten up by them. You know, they got some good martial arts going on, and he gets captured again. And we get this youngling. I mean, by the way, people give the Tuskens a hard time. You know what? Fuck the Tusken Raiders. They're a bunch of cunts, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Like, they capture Boba Fett and then they let the kids beat the shit out of him. We saw what they did to Anakin's mum, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Fuck them. You know, like,
I thought it was hilarious that in Mandalorian, and I think what was it, season 2, that they tried to sympathize with them a little bit, and then we get
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought we were supposed to sympathize, because that's the angle I thought that they were going to go. I thought that they were going to take him back and then heal him up, and then maybe make him like a servant or something, but still they weren't going to mistreat him like that. You know what I mean? So it's very conflicting storytelling between two different. I mean, I know it's two different shows, and it's probably two different types of Tuscan tribes or whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm getting mixed signals here from the Star Wars universe.
some people also say that calling them Sand People is degrading.
What?
Yeah, I know.
They're
We're
still
now we're
people.
degrading fictional characters. Okay.
Well, we are talking. Look, well, for fuck's sake, Ben
Jesus.
Kenobi called them Sand People, and he's a good guy. But on top of that, isn't calling them Tusken Raiders more degrading than Sand People? Calling them actual Raiders, is more degrading, surely. Yeah, but regardless, I
That's
call them
funny.
both. I call them both. You know what I mean? Like it's bad enough that I have to constantly remind myself of what's the correct thing to say, which is fair enough. Times change, you have to adjust your vocabulary. But when it comes to fictional characters, go fuck yourselves.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I mean?
I
I mean, please go fuck yourselves, man. They're Sand People, Tusken Raiders. Either way, I'm totally fine with that. But they anyway, little Tusky, yeah, the youngling, he takes Boba and Orange though on a quest to find these sort of pods full of water. Now, I remember these pods in the episode 1 of on season 2 of the Mandalorian, and they weren't full of water. They were full of this other shit. You know what I mean? This sort of weird shit. And these pods look exactly the same, but they're full of water. So I don't know if they're different or if it's just a continuity error or what. But nevertheless, to get these pods, you just have to dig in the sand. You dig in the sand, you find them. Simple as that. And whilst they're digging in the sand, we come across this dude,
Goro.
Goro from Mortal Kombat.
What I want to happen is I want Boba Fett, like when he, instead of his Rancor pit, I want it to be whatever that is pit. I want that thing to be in his pit.
Vance says it does feel like a anti-hero redemption story. He gets better as he improves the world around him. Well, it's like he's a good guy, crime lord, if you can ever have one of those. But fair enough. But yeah, Goro from Mortal Kombat. Now, this is a brand new creature. Like, everyone in the Star Wars universe does not know what this fucking thing is. So this looks like it's invented for the show. These things live under the sand. I can't believe we've never come across anything like this before. That's why it's being.
I mean, Tatooine's a big planet, so I mean, it makes sense we haven't seen everything. That's what I want in his pit. Like, that's what I want in his Rancor pit.
You thought
I want that thing.
Yeah, is it Ray Harryhausen? Is that his name? The guy who does all that shit?
Ray Harryhausen.
Harryhausen. Ray Harryhausen.
Ray Harryhausen.
It did remind me of, it kind of reminded me of that stop. It felt like a practical effect, not necessarily stop motion animation, which I very much appreciated. That this creature was not CGI.
But
I like, yeah. Go on, boss man.
I mean, as I said, I really liked it because the thing is, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
I was just going to
Can
say,
you
like,
hear
you know,
us?
it was. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just good to see a new creature design because again, as much as I don't like green with Bobby, I do agree with him that there's been too much focus on Jedi stuff because I like Jedi to feel special. The thing is that I'd much rather delve into the creatures and the lore, and I hate to use the word mythos because I think it's used too much, but like, you know, the mythos of this universe, you know, apart from Jedi, you know, because there's probably more interesting stuff without the Jedi. I mean, the Jedi are an assault and pepper where they add to it, but they shouldn't just be the whole entire show.
No, I agree, and I like the fact that you hate agreeing with Bobby. That makes me very happy. But nevertheless, yeah. Yes, Daniel, I agree with you too. Ray Harryhausen would be so impressed by
No,
this
I hate
creature.
agree with him on this particular point. I mean, we have agreed before, but on this particular point, because I like Jedi's.
I like Jedi's too, but at the same time, the universe is, you know, the Jedi's are supposed to be actually like, no, like trillions of people in this universe. Only a small percentage of them can be Jedi's or Force sensitive. That's why there's not so many of them. Yet we seem to be focusing on less than 1% of the planet, you know, or the universe. Sorry, because it's always the fucking Jedi, or the Sith in this particular case. But nevertheless, let's move on, shall we? So this is the creature. Eventually, because of those chains, what's his face? Boba Fett is able to do a Princess Leia on Jabba the Hutt on him and strangle the fucking creature to death. I didn't know this creature needed to breathe. You know, but strangulation is a form of asphyxiation, so I didn't know if this creature needed to breathe by being under the sand all the time. But nevertheless, it seemed to work. Yeah.
Well, people can still breathe underneath the sand. Just
Zam, why don't you
It's
zoom in
always
on the
something to
picture a
say.
little bit?
because things still.
Okay, my bad.
There you go.
Look at that. It's quite a magnificent bit of making there and stuff like that. And by the way, like the middle arms can be additional legs or they can be arms, which is what I liked about the middle set.
Daniel Vance, you are out of
By
line.
the way, when it
and
started coming up,
I'm about to. Daniel Vance, you are out of line, and I'm going to time you out for 5 minutes. No, I'm not really, but no more Jedi. No more Jedi. Okay, go ahead, boss man.
I was going to say, like, you know, I like the fact that we're getting the idea of this like crime syndicate and like, you know, there's different criminal factions. As I said, the fact that they're leading into the sort of Goodfellas, you know, I mean, and is this going to be one of the things where we only see it from Boba Fett's point of view, but if we see it from the other people's point of view, you know, he's making their lives worse. It's one of those things where maybe, like, you know, the point of view shifts a little bit. I know it's a book of Boba Fett, but instead of we getting told it from his point of view, maybe like halfway through the season, it flips and we see, you know, how other people are perceiving his actions, how much, you know, his actions, you know, as good as they seem, are having a detrimental effect.
Yeah, it's definitely a detrimental effect to him. He'll definitely need to make new allies as well, because I think that him and Fennec Shan and a couple of Gamorrean guards is not enough for a faction. I think the size of their group is outnumbered by everybody, in my opinion. But going back to this, let me just pull up the next picture. So this fucker gets killed, and then this little cunt of a fucking Tusken Raider, you know, basically milks everything. Comes running back, goes, "Look, I killed this beast. I killed it. I did it all by myself. Nobody helped me." And brings back the head, and everyone's really impressed. You know, all these other Tusken Raiders are really impressed by it. So, yeah. And so much so that the leader of the group realizes what really happened.
I was about to say, I love how the leader realized that he did it.
Yeah. And then gives, you know, this shriveled up Boba Fett this water thing.
Good on
he
them.
drinks
Though.
it.
They made Tamara Morrison like look really rough in this episode in the flashbacks. Like, and rightfully so. He was stuck in the middle of the desert. Like, they could have kind of just hammed it up a little bit, not made him look as bad, but they made him look really bad in this episode. And I mean, as I said, rightfully so.
Well, like he was covered in stomach acid, because he was being digested.
Yeah.
And so they showed all of that, and that's why when him being in the back of the tank, has helped him recover because he doesn't look as rough because he's being healed. So it's good. It's good that they're doing all of this. How do you guys feel about the two timelines, the flashback timeline and the current day timeline?
I mean, as long as they don't lean into it too much. I mean, I get it for this episode, maybe next episode, because we're trying to see what's going, like what happened after that. But I mean, they don't need to continue it past a couple episodes. Like, what's going to happen at this point? He gets away from the Tusken Raiders, and because the way they were making it look in the Mandalorian when he showed up was that he was already living with the Tusken Raiders. So, we're kind of almost there at this point because the guy already has acknowledged him as a warrior because he gave him the water, basically saying, "Yeah, I know you killed that thing, but good on you."
I think we're going to understand why he wants to do things with respect instead of fear. And I think it's because of his time with the Tusken Raiders. By earning their respect, he appreciates the respect side, because he earned the respect of the Tusken Raiders by doing what he did. Also, I feel that, remember we saw those bandits destroy that house, which was very similar to Luke's place. The was it the Larsons? The Larsons' homes? Owen
The
Larson? Lars home, my bad. The Lars home, so very similar to that. And I feel that those guys, they're going to get their comeuppance as well, but they're like some sort of bandits of Tatooine. And I think I saw in trailers Boba deals with them as well. So yeah, obviously they have to explain why the hell he spent 5 years. Was it 5 years or was it 9 years? Is it 9 years after Mandalorian? How many years is it?
No, the Mandalorian takes place. I thought we figured out, was it 5 years after Return of the Jedi? So
6, yeah.
So then this would be 6 years, because if season 1 takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and then season 2 is when we caught up with Boba Fett, so then this would be like 6 or 7 years depending on the timeline.
So there is a period where Boba obviously spent at least 5-6 years with these guys. And so I think that's why we're going to be getting two storylines, one of the present day, one of the previous day, showing what he was doing for those 5-6 years. Because he didn't get his armor back immediately. I'm not sure. I think he might get Slave 1 back immediately. Do you think we'll leave Tatooine at all, or are we going to be Tatooine this whole show?
I'm hoping that we do leave, but again, like, I don't believe to see maybe there's other people from other systems who want to try and cut in on the action he's basically jumped into. So maybe we see somebody try to hook up with this mayor guy to try and overthrow him, or maybe there's somebody else who comes to the mayor and says, "Hey, I'll give you this amount of cut for." Because the thing is that what I'm hoping is that we don't see the mayor until the second or the second to last or last episode, just to keep the mystery alive of who is it, who is this person,
I don't think he's going to be. I don't think it's going to be some big reveal that it's somebody we know already, boss man.
No. I don't say that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just that the distance there, because what makes somebody interested is mystery. I'm not saying it should be somebody that he knows, because that's played out. What I'm saying is that it's somebody that everyone hear about and we don't see him. Like, all right, I'll give you a perfect example of what I mean. I know this is no.
Okay.
No, yes, no, that's a famous one, but this was done over a longer period of time. But if everyone's ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, you don't see the Fire King until right at the end, the last season, and that's because they keep him special. And what I'm saying is, do the same thing here, like the Kingpin, like you said, keep him special, keep him that you see you see what he does, but you don't actually see him. Maybe like see him in shadows, maybe see him or her, whichever gender it is. We see them like we see them like reacting. We see them done, but that's it really.
I remember in Kingpin, in Daredevil, Matt Murdock was about to reveal who Kingpin was to the world because Kingpin was keeping himself in the shadows. But just before he was able to do that, Kingpin revealed himself to the world, which kind of scuppered Matt Murdock's plan. There will be possibly someone. I mean, this mayor guy, like, it's not like people don't know who he is, but yeah, he hasn't been revealed yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he does reveal himself. There is that scene we saw in the trailers of people sitting around a dining table, so that was going to be interesting too. And plus, I think Boba Fett's helmet is gone because those Jawas, they took his helmet. Now he is a bounty hunter; he could get it back once he's fucking healed himself. But
I think they probably picked it up. I mean, it might be gone, like it might have been left on the streets when the guys took.
Well,
him back.
he got taken to the Bacta tank, so he never had a chance to retrieve it.
Well, but the guys might have retrieved the guys might have retrieved it. But we'll see.
The Garen guard or what they call it.
I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's stupid if they do, like, if we go on another helmet retrieve, like a Mandalorian armor retrieval mission, because it's just like we did that in the Mandalorian season 2 with Boba Fett. Like,
no, I agree, but it's just something that you can't help but notice anyway. And I don't think getting his helmet back will be the be all and okay. So
I just want to really quick, before you move on, I just want to really quick add to what you were talking about whether this will all take place on Tatooine or not. I actually kind of hope it does, because these episodes look like they're only about 30 minutes long, and I'm not opposed to people coming to Tatooine from other planets. And
yeah,
but like, I don't want Boba Fett like running around the universe, and because I'm not 100% sure how the Hutt's territory work. Like, so I'm assuming he's not just the Hutt of Tatooine, correct? Like,
I think.
I mean, don't they own like doesn't their territory expand like several star systems?
But he's part of us. Like he might have just taken over a particular sector which belongs to the Hutts, but doesn't mean that because Jabba owns other sectors outside that. I mean, those will probably belong to other Hutts, and it'll be very difficult for him to grasp it. I don't know. It all depends how they want to write it. Keep an eye out for Sophie Fatch's character. Her robot armor description could mean some interesting things about the Jedi and their story. Yeah, she's going to be an interesting character. I saw that some people were thinking that she was Mara Jade Skywalker, or just Mara Jade in this particular sense, because Luke doesn't seem to get married in this particular universe. Maybe I am going to be keeping an eye out for her. I hope she doesn't become like some sort of daughter character for Boba or some shit like that, because she seems to be quite young, this particular girl, and we don't need Boba being a father figure. I really don't want that to happen.
Well, yeah, because we have already got that in the Mandalorian. Like, we don't need that. Otherwise, they're just treading over the same type of character development that we got in the Mandalorian, and that's kind of
boring.
It is very boring,
bland. All of the things. Like, they need to broaden the horizons a little bit. Like, people, the funny thing is that sometimes writers forget to understand that people like Boba Fett not because that they think he's a good paternal character. They like him because he's a badass. You start turning him into a good ass, they're not going to appreciate him that much, are they? So yeah. Anyways. Okay, guys, so that was Mandalorian episode 1. Episode 2 comes out next week. Can't wait for that, just to fill in some of the gaps. This is a 7-episode story, unlike Mandalorian, which was 8 episodes. I just want to also know, do you think there's going to be a lot of Star Wars content coming out in 2022? I believe Obi-Wan comes out, maybe second season of the Bad Batch, possibly at the end of the year. Mandalorian season 3, but I don't know about anything else. Will there be a Star Wars movie next year? I'm not sure.
I mean, we haven't had any announcements on release dates on anything Marvel, because like it seems like what they do is
Star Wars. You mean?
No, Marvel, because what you can kind of do is track the timelines, because right now there's no Marvel content out there, but right now we have and I'm talking major wise. I'm not talking like cartoons and everything and
Are
animated.
you talking television shows?
Yeah. So like you can kind of
There are
track.
3. There's like 3 or 4 we know of. Like there's Moon Knight, there's She-Hulk, there's Ms. Marvel
Yeah,
that we know of.
yeah, I know, but we
We've
don't have
seen clips
release
of.
dates. But if we look at when Boba Fett's going to end, we can probably guess within a week or two after Boba Fett something either Marvel or Star Wars is going to debut. It just depends on.
Yeah, but Marvel like 2021 was Marvel television show year. Like every fucking month there was bloody something to do with Marvel. It was ridiculous. I really want a nice, follow-up of Star Wars this year.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that they
Yeah.
might make an announcement on Obi-Wan coming out after the Mandalorian or after Boba Fett, but I don't think any
Cassian
major-
Andor might come out this year as well.
Andor might also, yeah. So I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
that they're like, I don't think that they will have a major Star Wars show and a major Marvel show running at the same time. I really don't think they will. I think that we're going to have the Boba Fett, and then after Boba Fett, we will either get something Star Wars or Marvel, and then after that, then we'll get something either Star Wars or Marvel.
Didn't we get? Sorry for interrupting. Didn't we get at one point for at least 2 or 3 weeks, both Mandalorian and WandaVision at the same time?
Maybe. I'm trying to remember. I think
for
WandaVision
a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back on our reviews and look, but
yeah. So what's Vance saying here, Daniel Vance? There are only so many sets that can accommodate what Star Wars is trying to do, and many other productions. Well, some of those sets are in the United Kingdom, my friend, because they do a lot of Star Wars filming here, and I've been to those sets. Funnily enough, some of them are BBC Elstree Studios, and we have George Lucas sets. George Lucas set 1, George Lucas set 2, and now they're doing stuff on those special screens now, like the way they did Mandalorian season 2 episode 1. On those sort of special studios to, COVID restrictions. Yeah. I agree. But yeah, so nevertheless, we'll see how it goes. I'm dying for a decent amount of Star Wars content. I'm not saying I've had my fill with Marvel, but variety is the spice of life. We've had so much Marvel this year. I don't want it to be, so much, man. I really want some Star Wars.
Well, and that's why I'm saying they really need to. I feel like they need to start alternating. Like I feel like they need to start going,
one of each,
one of each. If they're not going to give us 2 at the same time, then they need to start alternating, in my opinion.
Yeah, because we got the Mandalorian season 2, but then from that we got WandaVision. Then we got Falcon Winter Soldier. Then we got what did we get after that? Then we got
Loki.
Then we got Loki, and then we got Hawkeye.
What if Hawkeye?
Yeah, so that's 5. That's 5 things because that's not including the films. I mean, as much
and
as
then the films, yeah.
So and the thing is that how long is it going to take before people get sick of it? Not long.
Actually, it looks like Mandalorian. I was going back here because I was curious. It looks like Mandalorian season 2 ended before WandaVision season 1 started.
Okay, so fair enough.
Those did not cross over. That's what I'm saying, though. I mean, they're definitely going to, they're going to milk it for as long as they can. So I would love to get a Star Wars product and a Marvel product in the same week, but I don't think they're going to give that to us. I think they're going to do, Book of Boba Fett, then we're going to get either something Marvel or Star Wars, and they're just going to keep on. And I mean, that does not count animated or other lower projects. I'm talking the major push stuff like Book of Boba Fett.
Other Star Wars content we got was Bad Batch. I'm not sure if season 7.
No. We got something else as well.
Clone Wars season 7, I think, might have been last
year.
No,
we got Visions.
Oh yes. Yeah,
I don't consider that a major thing, though. I consider that a lower thing. That's why Visions.
It's not canon either.
Yeah,
I know it's not, but it is part of the Disney.
Yeah, I'll give you that. At least it was some sort of Star Warsy. So we got season 7 of Clone Wars. We got Bad Batch. We got I think season 7 of Clone Wars was last year. Bad Batch definitely was last year. Bad Batch was not bad, but 15 episodes. I knew a lot of it was going to be filler. And it did start straight after the Clone Wars. And one of the best things about Bad Batch, by the way, is that it does kind of fill the void of, episode 3 and episode 4. Like it's filling in those moments, like what happens between those. Anyway, I'm really sorry for keeping things longer than we should have. I do apologize, guys. So we're going to end this now. So everyone, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube. We'll be back tomorrow talking Discovery, episode 7, the final one before the mid-season finale, and then after that will be obviously Prodigy. So more Star Trek coming our way, not just Star Wars, everything in between. And anything else that comes out, we'll definitely talk about it. And don't forget to look on our channel for a variety of different fan reactions, trailer reactions, as well as news on certain things like Spider-Man hitting $1 billion without the need of Chinese money. All right, guys. Anything more to say before we hang up?
Nope.
All right, then. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.